What we have found as far as increasing parent engagement is a couple of things. One is the more we can involve their children, the more our parents want to come, right? So, any event where we're bringing our students to school with their parents, it helps us build relationships with our families.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday shine online. Now, let's get back to the interview.
Hi, I'm David Feliciano. I'm the superintendent at La Mesa Spring Valley School District. We're an elementary school district in urban San Diego County. We have 21 schools and about 11,000 students.
Hi, I'm D.Ragsdale. I'm the Deputy Superintendent of Educational Services for the La Mesa Spring Valley School District.
Excellent. It's so great to have both of you here on the episode. We have an exciting lineup for you here today. And our dream here at Smart Social, as you probably know, and for all of our listeners, is to help keep kids safe on social media so they can someday shine online and launch into their future. And we're so excited to do that. You know, there's a lot of families right now that are struggling. They're struggling with too much screen time. How do I have a dialogue with my kids? There's districts that are saying we want to engage parents. How do we do that? All these questions and more, we want to tackle them here today. So I'm so excited both of you are here. The first question I have for you is, what's your biggest accomplishment as a school district over the past 1 to 4 years?
So I'd love to hear Deanne's thoughts on it as well, but I think the thing that we are really proud of is how we have responded as a district in supporting our students and our families post-pandemic, coming out of the pandemic, really prioritizing the well-being and mental health of our students is something that we're really proud of, all of the great work that we're doing in that area as a district.
Yeah. So, Deanne, what's your biggest accomplishment, in your opinion, as a district over the past 1 to 4 years?
I think that we've been really intentional about creating cultures of belonging for our students and for our families. And I think, like David said, we're really focusing on mental health, but also just social emotional learning and really trying to find ways for each and every student to feel a connection back to school. And over the last 4 years, that's been hard, right? Kids were at home. They did spend a lot of time on screens. And so getting them back to people connection, to connect it with each other, to connect with their teachers and the other educators at school, and creating that culture of belonging has been a real intentional effort that we've been engaging in. And we're really proud of it.
Yeah, excellent to hear. My next question for your school district and for the two of you, and the goal here is to give advice to other districts. How do we approach these really difficult topics so we can all win? There's an old saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. And that's really what we're here to do. What would your advice be, or what advice do you have for other school districts to deal with social media issues that may originate on a social media app, but then creates a very real problem on campus?
It's a big issue. It's probably the biggest issue when you start getting to middle school, because more and more of our middle school students have phones and create problems. I think that we're wrestling with having access to mobile devices at schools and when and where we allow access. I think the other part is educating parents about allowing access for kids and when and where we allow that access so that we can't have that spillover happening into schools. And then the thing I think is just really important goes back to just continuing to teach kids about how to treat people. There's so much anonymity online that kids can be mean, adults can be mean. And that's when the spillover happens, right? Because we're behind a screen and we forget there's a human being on the other side. So we have to be really intentional about teaching kids how to treat other human beings all the time. And I think that's something we're really trying to invest in.
Yeah. And the next question that I want to lead into, so that's a little bit about safety. Let's move into the positive side of social media. I'd love to hear from one of you. Can you provide an example or two of how your students may have used their social media in a positive or productive way that may have benefited themselves or their community?
The first thing that comes to mind for me that has been really neat is we've had a lot of growth in our social media, just presence and interaction with our community over the last 2 years or so. And we have some really great, exciting things happening in the district, one of which is a program that we call ESSPN. And it's really like a sports program for our students, but it's sort of accessible and available to all of our students. And there's a big social emotional learning component. And we have done lots of great media around that. And I know our students have been so proud of it. So just having that be on social media, having the kids really showcase all the great things that they're doing there is something that has been really neat.
What suggestions would your school district have for parents to encourage their kids to use technology in a positive way, both in the classroom and at home?
It's such a difficult thing. And I will just share, we're an elementary school district. So our students go up to eighth grade. And obviously, the things that, we're encountering and our families are encountering, they're not what it would be, at the high school level, which sort of my daughter's starting ninth grade this year. So I'm getting how that really kicks it up a notch. But even in I want to say like fourth grade through eighth grade, it's something that is a real challenge. And I think the important thing is just educating our parents as well as our students about the potentials for things to live forever. And like Deanne shared earlier about being kind, being decent human beings to each other, there are great things that we can do on social media just in our ability to connect with people. But there are also really harmful things we can do and letting kids know that really nothing is anonymous. It feels like you're not sitting in front of someone, and it feels like back in my day, it was a prank call, where you called someone, you say something stupid, hang up the phone, no one knows that you did it, kind of a thing. That doesn't exist anymore. And so it's really about helping kids know like everything lives on and there are consequences, and we are interacting with our neighbors. It's no different than them being next to me in the classroom, them being next to me on the street versus them being next to me on Facebook. Like my behavior needs to follow what it would follow in person. And I know that's the big thing that we're trying to communicate to our kids.
What are your suggestions for other school districts to increase parent engagement? And a follow up question for you, really on that topic, is are there any specific channels or events that seem to get the biggest turnout in your community?
What we have found as far as increasing parent engagement is a couple of things. One is the more we can involve their children, the more our parents want to come, right? So any event where we're bringing our students to school with their parents, it helps us build relationships with our families. And whether that is like lunch on the lawn or family reading Fridays, opportunities to bring our parents to school, to have them interacting with their children, because all parents want to be involved in their children's lives and they will make an effort to be there. And so the more of those events that we can plan, the more connections we can make, the more connected our community becomes. And that has been really successful for us and has helped our parent community kind of grow roots in the schools that, they care about that. They care about their children. So we want to create opportunities for that. That's been really positive for us.
From my point of view, I absolutely agree with Deanne that our families want to be together, so that when we have events where we're integrating our parents and our families into the life of the school, that's always great. Like it gives such a great community feeling. And then something else that we're doing a lot of, which has been really neat, has been even things like board meetings. Like we always have students be the center of that and sort of a celebration that we're doing there. So we always do like the spotlight of a school or of a particular student or a particular program. And then we really encourage families to come out and support their schools, support their kids. It's just really neat to see people come together at those things.
I love what you said, like, spotlighting students and great stories. And also, I also like what you're both basically saying is students are the core that we should always be talking about. This
Oh
is
yeah.
why we're doing this. Yes, it's to engage parents, but it's really for the students, which is super true. Okay, let's dive on into the next question I have. What are your thoughts around some districts that are going cell phone free in the classroom to lower distractions and improve learning and student development?
Well, in California, there's a bill to restrict cell phones statewide, and we support it wholeheartedly. What I'll share is, as an elementary school district with going up to middle school, cell phones have been essentially restricted. They're not something that students are permitted to use in class or on campus. That said, I do think there's a little bit of an overboard approach, which is like the banning of cell phones from a campus. I don't think that having a phone on a campus is necessarily the problem, so long as it's understood that it's not out and being used and that sort of thing. I think families want to know that they have a way to connect with their student and vice versa in case of an emergency or something. But certainly in the classroom and on campus, most kids have sort of unrestricted access on their phones, and that's certainly not something that we allow.
Okay, before we get on to the next question, which is the question everybody wants to talk about, AI in schools, I want to give a quick shout out to my amazing team here at smartsocial.com. You are hosting 54 plus live events for our partners. Gone are the days where parents come out to some of these parent engagement nights. We know everyone's busier than ever with all these devices and events and everything else. Thank you to the team who's hosting the online 54 plus parent events and replays in 12 different languages, 450 incredible resources for all of our partners nationwide in 29 states. Don't forget that next month is anti-bullying month, which is exciting because we have 3 incredible chances to join our live events to talk about ways to reduce bullying, ways to deal with bullying, and ways to make your kids feel like they're safe online. The following month is Disappearing Messages Month, which is super exciting, where we'll talk to you about how to have a dialogue with your kids about these dangerous apps, what it can do. The following month is Screen Time Awareness, so we can lower the screen time as lots of kids get new devices for the holidays. And then we're back to the new year with lots of different stuff. Shout out to my incredible team, saving lives all over the country. In addition, school districts, don't forget that you have some incredible student videos in your platform that you can show to your students. All you have to do is go to your dashboard, go to the bottom, and you can put those into your Chromebooks if you wish to. We're trying to educate the teens, the parents, and also the teachers, and bring everybody together to keep kids safe on social media so they can shine online. All right. Thank you so much to my incredible team. We're back to the program now. The next question I have for you is the hottest question. It is the one where everybody's talking about these new latest tools, and I want to hear from both of you or one of you that feels the most comfortable. What would you suggest for other districts, or even more importantly, how is your district approaching AI tools like ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, and Claude?
Well, I was going to ask you how districts are approaching these tools because no one has that answer right now. It really is a challenge. I'll just share sort of how we've been approaching it. And my background in education is technology. I started out as a technology director in schools. And so, this is like my jam. I love this sort of thing. And at the same time, there's a whole lot of gray around AI and exactly how we can utilize it really to benefit our students. For me, the thing that was transformative for myself and what I saw in my really user base when I used to be in that role was the introduction of consumer-based technology. Like as soon as everyone had a phone that was connected to the internet in their pocket, right? It just transformed everything. And for us right now, and Deanne included, we are really trying to get into it from a consumer place. Like we want to see for ourselves what sorts of things ChatGPT or whatever the AI tool is can help us do. And I'll just share right now, I know that in a year, the way that I utilize technology will be completely different from how I utilize it today. And it's because I feel like I'm just starting to get into sort of like this new frontier of greatness that we see with AI. Like the potential is just amazing, to the point even where something like where we may have relied on legal counsel on an issue, I'm getting great information out of ChatGPT as an example. But we're really just wanting to first get a handle on it ourselves, understand how we would use it, and then really analyze like the tools that would be implemented at the school level. And right now it's so ground floor that, it's really hard to know where it's going to be.
We have a committee of educators who are forward thinking in technology, who are working with our executive director of technology. And thankfully, in our county office is sponsoring some conferences and workshops. So we are sending a team to really look at implications for classroom teachers. How might it help their practice? Because I think that if we get our teachers empowered to kind of understand how those tools can help them, then they can start thinking about how could they utilize that technology to help students. It's a little different for us, I think, as a K-8 district than it would be in a high school district. And I know there are concerns in some of those places, but I think we're walking into it cautiously because there's a lot of implications for, personal identified data out there and things like that, that we're really trying to walk in intentionally with this committee of teachers to think about how to use it well.
Yeah. And so I will tell you, since David asked, other districts are approaching it in an interesting way. I've personally traveled the country speaking to 250,000 students pre-COVID on stages, high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, you name it. I feel like we've done it, and we've served the news to help them train them on how to answer in a practical and tactical manner for parents with no shame. And the answer seems to be, when we often say, hey, I don't need to train kids on social media safety because that's for high school. Then all of a sudden the dialogue changed and we went, whoa, every middle schooler has a phone. And now every fourth grader, fifth grader has a phone in elementary school, right? And I know you're a district that spans that. But I would argue that AI is going all the way down to first graders here soon. When I used to travel the country, there was an interesting thing I would do that I would ask every student. I'd say, and this got a lot of laughs. Hey, students, I want you to answer this question honestly. How many of you have ever Googled yourself? And a couple of them raise their hand. How many have ever Googled your parents? And more of them would raise their hand. And I would tell them, all right, tell the truth here. How many of you have, and they really are leaning in, how many of you have ever Googled one of your teachers or the staff at this school? And most of them raise their hand.
Yeah.
And the idea there is, even elementary school, they're going somewhere to get curious.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're going somewhere to get curious because they want to know more about their parents and their teachers, what's going on there, they will then go to AI. And the new Google is AI. And we don't get paid by the big data. We work with school districts and parents, or nonprofit, to provide this data. But I would argue, as a trendsetter here and as a futurist here, kids are going to start going to AI saying, teach me about this topic. That topic could be very dangerous without adult oversight. We're all in agreement there about dating at a young age or something else. So I think that's the future that we all have to be careful of, is at a younger age and younger age and younger age, are they going somewhere to seek advice, knowledge? And in the future, we're also learning. And I want to give a little shout out to all of our partners. If you're struggling with this AI dialogue as well, remember Smart Social last month was AI month. Thousands of parents all over the country learned prompt engineering as a family. They learned how to talk to their kids about a rich dialogue before the kids try and cheat on their English paper, how to actually use it. We had an English teacher live in the event. Go back and watch it. To all of our partners, Deanna and David will give you a demo account to log in and watch this. It's phenomenal. And our amazing 7th grade guest expert English teacher says, let's start earlier than later. If you want AI to do some bulleted research, start it earlier. And the one key takeaway is, talk to your teachers, talk to the district, talk to the parents. Students shouldn't go to AI unless they get a little bit of parent advice, and maybe even sitting next to them, driving this vehicle with them. And then we learn together with those guardrails. Parents, if you haven't done that yet, go watch last month's event. I'm telling you, it's phenomenal. It'll save you time. You'll laugh with your kids, but also it will teach you prompt engineering with the best of them. Okay. I love these answers. Really grateful to the both of you. Thanks to both of you for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us. It's great to be here. We're happy to lend our voices to all of this. It's great.
For all the rest of you listening, thanks so much for supporting Smart Social as we reach about 2 million people a year on our website to keep kids safe so they can shine online. And don't forget, everything you do online is public, so remember to keep it light, bright, and polite because your kids are watching. We'll see all of you on the next episode. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to our smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This was our District Talk segment where we interview school district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday launch into their future by shining online. This episode was brought to you by our smartsocial.com VIP program. It's called the Very Informed Parent Program, which helps you engage your students with teen-led video lessons. Stay one step ahead with our premium parent newsletter and discover hidden features on trending apps on teens' phones and our 54 plus live parent and student-friendly events every single year. You can click on the link below to chat with one of our team members if you want a free pass to our VIP program to support your community with our smartsocial.com resources. And if you're a district leader who has a success story, we would love to feature you on a future episode. You can click the links below to reach out. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a great day.